Hi students, wish you a good day. Look around your room. What are the things that you can see? Some textbooks, a glass of water, and some toys like balloons. Okay. Can you classify them into solids, liquids, and gases? Yes. The textbook itself is a solid. The water, it is a liquid. The air in the balloon is a gas. Okay, we can do an experiment to understand its features. Take a beaker and fill half of water in it. Dip a stone slowly into it. What happens to the water level? Will it rise? Yes, of course. The water level will rise. What we understood from this? The matter requires a space to occupy. So we know that solids, liquids and gases come under the category of matter. Do gases need space to occupy? We can do an experiment to understand this. Similarly, take a beaker and half fill it with water. Dip an inverted bottle into it slowly. What happens to the water level in the beaker? Will it rise? Yes, of course. The water level will rise. What do we understand from this? Do gases need a space to occupy? Yes, that is why the water level rises. So, we can generalize it as matter is anything which occupies space and have mass. So, we can define the properties of matter on the basis of mass, volume and shape. For solids, it has definite mass and it has definite volume and it has definite shape. For liquids, there is a slight change. It has definite mass and it has definite volume, but it has no definite shape or perfect shape because it occurs the shape of the container in which it contains. Did you understand? For gases, it is also different. It has definite mass, but it has no definite volume and it has no shape. We know that. Did you understand?
Now I am going to ask you some questions. What are the properties of solids? Yes, you know that. It has mass, definite volume, and permanent shape. So, what are the properties of liquids? Have mass, definite volume, and no definite shape. So, what are the properties of gases? Have mass, no definite volume, and no definite shape. You can give your answers online with the link in the description box for the activity 1.
Take a brick and break it into pieces. We will be getting many pieces. Take one of those pieces and break it again. We will be getting fine dust. If possible, if you break one of those fine dust, what we will be getting? We will be getting particles of clay. So, each substances are made up of particles, tiny particles that we cannot be seen through naked eyes. Okay, did you understand that? So, these particles bear all the properties of the substances. Now we are going to discuss about the arrangement of particles in solids, liquids and gases. In solids, the particles are very tightly arranged. So, the solids are rigid. In liquids, the particles are very loosely arranged. So, they are free to flow. we know that the liquids are free to flow. In gases, the particles are freely arranged, so they are free to move. Did you understand?
Now I am going to ask you some questions. Why the solids are rigid? We know that, we just discussed about it. Because the atoms in solid molecules are very tightly arranged. The next question is, why the liquids are free to flow? Because the atoms in liquid molecules are loosely packed. Why the gases are very free to move? Yes, because the atoms in gas molecules are freely packed or freely arranged. You can give your answers for the above questions using the link in the description box.
Now we are going to discuss about a different topic, the change of states. When an ice cube is heated under sun, we will be getting liquid water. This liquid water on heating, we will be getting water vapor. We can say it as, when a solid water, that is the ice cube, is heated, we will be getting liquid water. When this liquid water on heating, we will be getting gaseous water. What is gaseous water? The water vapor. We can explain it with a diagram. The solid ice on liquefaction, we will be getting liquid water by heating. Okay, the liquid water on evaporation, we will be getting water vapor. It is also done by heating. The water vapor on cooling or by condensation, we will be getting liquid water. The liquid water is again cooled to give the solid ice. The process is called solidification. Did you understand?
Now we can discuss about the processes during these transitions in detail. By liquefaction, it means the conversion of a solid substance to a liquid substance. So, here the solid ice is being converted to liquid water. Next process is evaporation. It's simply the conversion of the liquid into its vapor form. And here it is conversion of water into water vapor. Condensation is simply the conversion of gas or vapor into liquid state. And here it is the conversion of water vapor into liquid or water. We know that water vapor condenses to give water droplets and it results in rain. Solidification process is the conversion of liquid into solid. In this context, it is the conversion of water into ice.
What are the changes happen to the particles during these transitions in terms of energy of the particles, distance between the particles, attraction between the particles, and the movement of the particles? Let's cite an example for that. On heating ice cube to water, what are the changes happens in terms of these parameters, like the energy of the particle, distance between the particles, attraction between the particles, and the movement of the particles? On heating the ice cube, it's converted to liquid water. So the energy of the particles increases as we are giving energy as heat. Okay, the energy of the particles increases and the distance between the particles also increases, and the attraction between the particles decreases. So the distance between the particles increases. Okay, as a result, the movement of the particle increases. Did you understand?
Then what are the changes happen to the particles during the boiling of water in terms of energy of the particle, movement of the particles, and the distance between the particles? Do you know that? Yes, the energy increases and the distance between the particles increases. and the attraction between the particles decreases and the movement of the particle increases. Click the below link of activity 3 to attend a quiz based on the portions we just studied.
Let me ask you a question. What is the difference between common salt and salt solution? Do you know? Yes. Common salt is a pure substance and salt solution is a mixture. Today we are going to discuss about pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances are materials made up of particles of identical nature. You know the examples of pure substances: gold, copper and so on. And mixtures are materials made up of particles of different nature. You also know the examples for mixtures: soda solution, salt solution and so on. Now we are going to discuss about mixtures in detail. How will you separate tea dust from tea that we used to do every day in our life? Yes, it's by filtration. What makes it possible? Difference in size of particles. Did you understand? Yes. Then how will you separate the common salt from seawater? Yes, it's by evaporation. And what makes it possible? It's due to the easily vaporizable nature of water. Then I have a question. How will you separate the pure water from seawater? That you might be knowing. It's by a process called distillation. Yes. Today we are going to discuss about distillation in detail. It is the experimental setup for distillation, and in the RB flask seawater is taken. It is on heating. The water gets evaporated and the water vapor passes through the condenser. The condenser has a cold water inlet and a hot water outlet. The cold water passes through or circles through the condenser, and on passing this water vapor through the condenser, the water vapor gets condensed to give pure water. Did you understand? So, the distillation is a separation technique for mixtures in which one component is volatile. Volatile means vaporizable, and the other component is non-vaporizable under the same condition. Okay, did you understand what is distillation? Okay, there are other methods for separation. One among them is usage of separating funnels. What are separating funnels? They are used for separating immiscible liquids. We know that kerosene and water are immiscible liquids. What are immiscible liquids? They will not mix each other. So, a mixture of kerosene with water is taken in a separating funnel. We can see a clear separation between kerosene and water. Kerosene will be in the upper part and the water will be in the lower part. Why is this separation? The water is more denser than kerosene. So, the water will be in the bottom end. So, how will we separate this kerosene from water in the separating funnel? Simply by opening the tap of the separating funnel, we can separate the water from kerosene. It is a very simple technique to separate the immiscible liquids. Hope you guys all enjoyed the class. Thank you.